Good morning, this is Faith at Faith and Books. I'm going to make a quick video. You'll hear my chickens in the background making noises. They're not laying eggs, and I looked it up, and they're about 18 months old, and that's when they molt. They go through their first molt, and they stop laying eggs. I didn't realize that. I should have done more research. For about 10 days. So we're not getting any eggs lately. Anyway. So let's see, today is August the 14th. What is today's date? It's already hot or not hot, but warm and muggy. It's been very hot, but it's supposed to cool down tomorrow. Anyway, I thought I would talk about two books that I finished reading. I feel like I'm still kind of in a slump. I'm just reading very slowly. But also, I've come to the realization that I'm not going to be able to make very many videos. This coming week is our last week of summer. My daughter's going to go back to school the 24th. My son's starting up his semester the 23rd, and he's going to be just gone. He's going to be either at school or at work. So he's going to be gone. And then I have a son who's working, living at home, but he's gone most of the time. Two, my husband's still going to keep working at home. And the little 5-year-old that I have been watching since he was 3 is going to kindergarten. But it turns out I'm going to watch my grandson full time. I've been watching him 2 or 3 times a week, just in the mornings. But the way the schedule's working out now, I'm going to watch him Monday through Friday from about 9 to about 1:30. So that's what I'm going to do. He's 2. He is full of energy. He's nonstop. So I'm going to be with him and then take him home. So his dad works at home, so he can take a late lunch break and put him down for his nap. And then my daughter, who's a school teacher, gets home around, 4:30, and then she takes over when he gets up. So it works out well. But it's going to be tiring for me, and then I need to pick up the 5-year-old at 3:30 from school and watch him until his mom gets home from work. So I feel like I'm just going to be really busy and tired, and I'm going through, what are my priorities? My priorities are my family, being present for my husband and kids and my grandchildren. And my health, because I've been dealing with sciatica all summer and it still hasn't quite gone away, and I just need to carve out time to exercise regularly and very intentionally, and I need to eat well and just keep up my health because I need the energy to watch kids. And so family, health, and then my garden, and my stuff I do at church. I'm involved in 2 things at church: the Care for Our Common Home ministry, which is environmentalism, and then the homeless program. I work in various homeless ministries, and they all get really, really busy. The chickens are going crazy. They want me to come feed them. So that starts getting busy, really busy in September, and continues on throughout the winter. So I'm just going to be busy, and I think I'm just going to try for 1 video a week. I'm just not going to be able to do it. And then the other thing is reading. I want to read. Like, I love being part of BookTube. Making videos is great. It's a way to be involved. They're really, really noisy. I don't know if you can hear me over my chickens. Anyway, so that's the way it's going to be. This last week is the last week of summer, and then we're going to launch into a whole new schedule and era. And I don't know about the Delta variant and how that's going to affect things. So anyway, that's where I am. But I did finish reading 2 books. So let me talk about those. I finished reading Laurus, which I feel like I keep talking about this book. It was a buddy read with Christy of Dostoevsky in Space, which kind of fell apart because I think Christy is dealing with health issues, and also she's reading a ton of other stuff. And I think most of her energy went into reading Les Miserables, which makes sense because that's a really intense and big book, which I DNF'd. And she's doing a bunch of other stuff too. So, but I love this book. Now, I just recently saw a video she put up, was it yesterday, where she talks about how she was struggling with it a little bit because it's modern, and I don't know what she meant by that. Because to me, modern is when it's the ideas behind it, when it's really sort of existential or, just sort of materialist or very subjective or that sort of thing, where it's like, that's modernist to me. This to me is a throwback, but it's also very graphic. I mean, not very graphic. I don't think every once in a while it would seem a little extraneous to me, but I also think they're depicting a time that was a brutal time. It wasn't really the Middle Ages. In Western Europe, it's the Renaissance, but he refers to it as the Middle Ages, so maybe that was still the Middle Ages for Russia, but it's in the 1440s, and they're talking about the year 1492, where they think it might be the end of the world. Anyway, it's full of mysticism, and it's an exploration of faith. It's very, very imbued with Eastern Orthodox sensibilities, and there's a lot of play with time, travel, moving back and forth in time in a very kind of playful manner, really, and also language, just doing things with language, which is quite interesting because this is a translation from Russian. So the translator had to be really clever at getting that language play into English. And there are some things in it that are like private jokes that I think only people from Russia would get. And that didn't make any sense to me, but I could imagine that somebody from Russia would just crack up. So there was a playfulness and a humor to it that I really enjoyed. And this is a reread for me. I realized how bad a memory I have because I really didn't remember very much. As I was reading it, it would come back to me, but I didn't remember it beforehand. Just a few things. But I found it deeply meaningful and ultimately a very joyful, uplifting ending, even though you're going through this, the world is a veil of tears, and that's what the main character has to go through. And there's a lot of discussion about sin. I'm so sorry about the chickens in the background. I really guess I should have fed them before. Okay. Well, anyway, highly recommend this book. Oh my goodness. Listen to them. I highly recommend this book. Really, really meaningful, good read. Then I just finished reading Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, which I liked and didn't like. I thought it was really interesting insight into apartheid and its after effects, and what a horrible thing it was, and just so dehumanizing to everybody, really, and just it's so evil. Racism is just so evil, and so I found it really, and just a peek into a different culture. Trevor Noah himself, well, one thing that's wonderful about him is he loves his mother. I think his mother made some really bad life choices. So she's not perfect, but her personality and her strength of character, he really loves his mom. And a lot of this is about how much he loves his mom. So that's a really nice thing to read. And he's very clever and articulate. He can tell a story well. He's very crass. Like, he just swears all the time, and that to me just gets abrasive after a while. And I just think, why is it necessary to bombard me with this? So it makes me I kept putting it down because I just couldn't take how crude he is. And he's very, very flippant. He makes now there's construction, and that they had been building some sort of porch or something all summer. It's taken them all summer to build this thing. I don't understand why it would take so long. I swear houses have been built in the time that it's taken these people to put on a porch. Anyway, so what was I saying? He's very flippant, and he just says these sweeping generalities that just sometimes would really just, and I think he does it for comedic effect. So I think, well, this is a memoir, he's also, like, maybe he I don't know his sense of humor. I mean, I don't know his stand-up stuff. I've only seen the briefest little clips, which always seem to have something about porn in them, so I'm not interested. But I feel like he wrote a lot of this for comedic effect, and at first I was going, why is he writing like this? This is horrible, what he's writing about, the situations they were in and everything. I wasn't getting that he was trying to spin it in a comedic way, because it just seemed beyond comedy to me. But then he gets to one story, and because I'm Catholic, and I actually live with somebody who's Catholic from Africa, though a different country, and the story just didn't ring true. And I thought, this is not a true story, or he's combining other things, or he's just exaggerating. And that made me question the rest of the stories that he told. So then once I had lost sort of my trust in the reliability of the storyteller, it made it a little bit harder to read. So along with the really crass language and the flippancy, the fact that I didn't, I was like questioning all the stories he was telling, made it a little bit harder to read. So I don't think I appreciated it as much as if I didn't care about the language and I completely trusted him as a storyteller. But the little incident that bothered me was he went to a Catholic school up till 5th grade, and he was Christian. His mother was Christian but not Catholic, but somehow she got some sort of scholarship for him or something. So he was going to this school. Well, they would have noon mass, and he wasn't allowed to go receive communion because he wasn't a Catholic. And so that made him jealous because he was hungry and he wanted a snack. He's very irreverent. So he says that he snuck back behind the altar, into the sacristy. I don't think he uses that word. And he drank up the grape juice and ate the bread or the host or whatever. So grape juice is a Protestant thing. Catholics do not do grape juice at all. It would be blasphemous. There was no grape juice. So what was he remembering? Was it some Protestant thing that he went to? Because Protestants do crackers and grape juice. Catholics do not. And in fact, I highly, highly doubt that they would have both what we call species, both the consecrated wine and the consecrated host, for a school mass. It would just be the host. It would just be the Eucharist. It wouldn't be the wine. Plus, that's like the source and summit of everything. So there's a real ritual. There are real rules about how you treat the wine and the host. And they're locked up. They're not just sitting around so that a little 4th grader can wander in and just munch on it and drink the wine. That makes no sense. It's not. And I thought, okay, maybe things are really different in South Africa, though these are the norms globally for Catholics. Okay, so I knew that this would be considered blasphemous anywhere in the world, but I asked the boarder, who comes from Cote d'Ivoire, who's Catholic, went to Catholic schools. And of course, Cote d'Ivoire is way far away from South Africa. Africa's a huge continent, but still there is a commonality, and there's a commonality in the way Catholics do things, and there is somewhat of a commonality in the way, different African countries might do something. And she said, no way, there would never be grape juice. And unless he was an altar server, he wouldn't be going back to the sacristy. So it didn't make sense to her either. She thought, no, that's not believable. So once I encountered that story, it really made me wonder what he was making up for the other kind of tall tales that he tells. And not every story he relates has that feel to it, so it's a mix. So anyway, so that's why I didn't entirely enjoy this. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads. It's worthwhile reading just from a sociological point of view. I don't think would ever be best friends with Trevor Noah, and I think I wouldn't rely on this as completely fact-filled. So that's my review of that. Okay, so those are the 2 books that I just finished. We're almost done with this. We only have one more chapter in my Christian book club. This is magnificent. I love it. I'll do a better review on it when I'm finished. I'm still working my way through Paradise by Dante. This is the Dorothy L. Sayers translation. She's unnecessarily archaic in her poetry and the way she translated. She wants it to sound like something from the 1600s, I think. So it's kind of difficult to read, I think. So I've just been reading it. I haven't been doing any analysis. I've just been reading the little intro at the beginning that explains what's going on, and then I read it. I haven't been doing any follow-up. I'm just letting it sort of wash over me. But I'm only up to Canto 8, and what is it? It's to 14th, so I'm still behind. Although I'm still going through it, and I'm still enjoying it. Actually, when I'm reading it, I'm actually enjoying it. So it's interesting. I just want to get through it to say that I've read it, really. Just sort of my first encounter, because hopefully I'll go back and learn more about it, at a later date. Let's see, what else am I doing? So this weekend I'm going to really focus on just getting more into Coop Club by Arthur Ransom. I'm trying to read all of the Swallows in Amazon series. So I think this is the 5th one in the series. It's Swallows in Amazon, Swallowdale, Peter Duck, Winter Holiday. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is the 5th one. So I'm reading this. It's not really a summer book because it takes place at their Easter holidays, but still, it's all about sailing and living on the river. And this one is about birds. There's a bunch of kids that are really into preserving the bird life on the river, which is neat. I like that. And Arthur Ransom is such a good writer. Oh my gosh, he's just excellent. He is underappreciated. Yeah, so I'm going to try and I'm just going to focus on that this weekend. And I'm still plucking my way through. Plucking? Is that the right? You know what I mean. I'm still chipping away at my Kindle read, which is the biography of James Monroe. And I think I'm about 50% through that. And then after I get a big chunk of Coop Club done this weekend, I'm going to start the summer book by Tove Jansson, because it's summer and August is, we're midway through August, so I better read this during the summer. So I want to focus on that, and hopefully I'll get this read in a week. It's not that much. So I don't know what else to talk about book-wise, but I just have a feeling I'm just going to be able to do one video, or I'll have to just carve out a space. Maybe I'll do 2 at one time and then post it. I just don't know. I just feel like life is going to shift, and I may not be. I'd rather do the reading part and maybe the Voxer group part than the video making part. So since I'm not very good at videos anyway, I don't do anything but talking to this phone. All right, well, that's it from me. Thank you to everyone who subscribed. I lost some subscribers, but then I gained some. So anyway, that's it from me. I hope you are doing well, and happy reading. Bye.